WWE Monday Night RAW results January 24, 2022. The Royal Rumble Go-Home edition of WWE RAW opens up on the USA Network, live from the Huntington Center in Toledo, Ohio as Jimmy Smith welcomes us. He's joined at ringside by Byron Saxton. Corey Graves is in the ring. We go right to the ring for the opening segment as Adam Pearce welcomes us to the weigh-in for the WWE title match at the Royal Rumble. Corey Graves is standing with Pearce. Pearce introduces Bobby Lashley first and out he comes with MVP. The pyro goes off and we see footage of Lashley training for the match on Saturday. Lashley poses in the corner as pyro goes off. Graves goes to introduce WWE Champion Brock Lesnar but Paul Heyman interrupts, making his way to the stage. Heyman is so tired of everyone stealing his shtick, especially when they can't do it half as good as he does. Heyman goes on with a grand introduction for Lesnar and out he comes to a pop. Lesnar tips his cowboy hat to the crowd, hands the title to Heyman, then heads to the ring as the pyro goes off. Graves isn't sure if Lesnar is wearing appropriate attire for a weigh-in. Lesnar asks Graves if he wants him to get naked, then says let's just carry on with the weigh-in. Graves asks Lashley to step on the scale first and fans start booing. Lashley weighs in at 273 pounds. MVP says that's 273 pounds of an almighty killing machine, closer to a god than a man, 273 pounds of bottled lighting Lesnar will have to deal with at the Rumble. MVP goes on hyping Lashley up. Graves asks Lesnar to stop on the scale next, and encourages him to remove some of his clothing. Lesnar gives Heyman his cowboy hat but that's it. Lesnar weighs in at 286 pounds. Lashley says this is pissing him off. Lesnar thinks this is funny. Lashley says Lesnar is acting like a fool because he knows Lashley will beat him for the WWE title. Lashley says this will be the shortest title run of Lesnar's entire career, and that's not a prediction, that's a spoiler. Lesnar asks who's the comedian now? Lesnar taunts Lashley and drops the mic, then exits the ring as his music starts up. Lashley and MVP look on as Lesnar and Heyman head to the back. We see how Bianca Belair won the 2021 Women's Royal Rumble, then defeated Sasha Banks at WrestleMania 37. Bianca Belair vs WWE Women's Tag Team Champion Queen Zelina Vega. We go right back to the ring and out comes Bianca Belair swinging her hair around. We go to commercial. Back from the break and the announcers hype up tonight's Raw lineup. Belair wraps up her entrance as WWE Women's Tag Team Champion Queen Zelina Vega makes her way out by herself. We get a pre-recorded video with Vega talking about how she will win the Rumble and then again at WrestleMania 38. The bell rings and they go at it. Belair scoops Vega and simply places her on the apron to show her strength, and blows a kiss at her to taunt her. Belair ragdolls Vega back into the ring and slams her. Belair keeps control and nails a dropkick, then a kip up in the middle of the ring. Vega counters a suplex with a big stunner in the middle of the ring. Vega works Belair over in the corner now. Vega with a running knee to the face. Vega bows to the crowd but they boo her. They tangle and Vega sends her into the turnbuckles. More back and forth now. Belair presses Vega high in the air from the top, then brings her to the middle of the ring but Vega slides down and mounts her from behind. Vega has Belair down, on her back with a hold applied. Fans rally for Belair and she slams Vega back into the corner, then slams her. Belair mounts more offense now, then nails another kip up for a pop. Belair with a suplex into another suplex, then a kip up. Belair goes on but misses the moonsault as Vega gets her knees up. Vega looks to capitalize with the code red now. Belair blocks the code red and goes right into the KOD for the pin to win. Winner, Bianca Belair. After the match, Belair stands tall and celebrates as her music hits and we get replays. Vega is shown down trying to recover at ringside. We see how Kevin Owens defeated WWE United States Champion Damian Priest in his first pinfall loss last week. Owens is backstage with Kevin Patrick now. Owens is insulted by Patrick saying he faked an injury last week. Owens says he just kept fighting through the pain and now he gets a title match because of that, and he will do the same tonight until he's United States Champion. Owens walks off. WWE United States title match, Kevin Owens vs Damian Priest. We go back to the ring and out first comes WWE United States Champion Damian Priest. Priest enters the ring as we go back to commercial. Back from the break and we get formal ring introductions from Mike Rome. The bell rings and Priest immediately blocks a stunner, taking it to the corner. Owens unloads with strikes and chops. Priest turns it back around with big rights and lefts. Owens goes for the leg but Priest rocks him and fights out of the corner. Owens gets the upper hand, drops Priest, and nails a senton and elbow drop. Owens goes on but Priest blocks a corner cannonball. Owens escapes a chokeslam attempt but Priest rocks him and sends him to the floor for a breather. Priest runs the ropes but puts the brakes on as Owens goes to the floor for a breather. Priest keeps control but Owens super kicks him on the apron, sending him back to the floor. Owens goes for a big cannonball from the apron to the floor but Priest gets his knees up and Owens lands bad. Priest then drops Owens hard over the edge of the apron and stands tall at ringside as we go back to commercial. Back from the break and Owens avoids a broken arrow. Priest levels Owens for a close 2 count. Priest takes Owens to the top turnbuckle and rocks him with the right hand. Owens fights back and delivers a big headbutt to knock Priest down. Owens with a big tornado DDT. Owens goes back to the top for the frog splash but Priest kicks out just in time and Owens can't believe it. Priest blocks a pop-up powerbomb, then nails a big boot. Priest goes on but Owens kicks out just in time. Priest shows some frustration now. Owens sells an arm injury but Priest isn't buying it. Priest attacks Owens and ignores the referee but fans boo him. Owens rolls to the apron and drops Priest over the top rope, then rolls him with a handful of tights for a close 2 count. Priest blocks a stunner and drops Owens. Priest has snapped now. Priest unloads with kicks in the corner as the referee warns him. Priest backs off but attacks again. Priest keeps pounding on Owens until the referee calls the match. Winner by DQ, Kevin Owens. After the bell, fans continue booing Priest. Owens is announced as the winner, but Priest retains. Priest rushes out of the ring and to the back as the referee checks on Owens at ringside. We see how Nikki A.S.H attacked Rhea Ripley last week. We get pre-recorded backstage promos with Rhea Ripley, WWE 24/7 champion Dana Brooke, and Liv Morgan talking about how they will win at the Royal Rumble. Rhea Ripley, WWE 24/7 champion Dana Brooke and Liv Morgan vs WWE Women's Tag Team Champion Carmella, Tamina Snuka, and Nikki A.S.H. We go back to the ring and out comes Rhea Ripley to a pop. Back to commercial. Back from the break and Ripley waits in the ring as WWE 24/7 champion Dana Brooke comes to the ring. Jimmy says 24/7 rules are suspended in this match. Liv Morgan is out next. We see Sonya Deville backstage yelling at WWE United States champion Damian Priest, telling him to get his emotions under control while in matches or face the consequences. WWE Women's Tag Team Champion Carmella is out next to the ring and first for her team, followed by Tamina Snuka. Nikki A.S.H joins them and they head to the ring together. We get pre-recorded backstage promos with Tamina, Carmella, and Nikki talking about how they will win the Rumble on Saturday. Brooke and Tamina go at it to start. Tamina drops her with ease and shows off some. Tamina ragdolls Brooke on the mat now, grounding her. Brooke fights up and out but Brooke counters and tags in Ripley. Ripley drop kicks Tamina and knocks the others off the apron. Tamina and Ripley go at it again with Ripley nailing a big clothesline and another right hand. Ripley with a basement drop kick to Tamina. Ripley with a spin kick and a Northern Lights suplex but Carmella breaks the pin up. Liv and the others get involved for a few seconds. Carmella tags in now and slaps around Ripley, then yells in her face. Ripley ragdolls Carmella into the Prism Trap submission, and Carmella taps out. Winners, Rhea Ripley, Dana Brooke, and Liv Morgan, After the match, Ripley is standing tall and celebrating when Nikki hits the ring and drops her with a cheap shot. Nikki runs away while Ripley stares her down. We see what happened between RK-Bro and Alpha Academy last week. We go back to the ring for the academic challenge between Raw Tag Team Champions Alpha Academy and RK-Bro. Chad Gable and Otis head to the ring for a spelling bee as we go back to commercial. Back from the break and Kevin Patrick is hosting the academic challenge with Otis and Gable. This will determine if Randy Orton and Riddle get a rematch for the titles. Gable insults the crowd and gets a "You suck" chant. He also announces that he and Otis will be in the Men's Royal Rumble. Gable promises that one of them will win the Rumble and headline WrestleMania. Patrick introduces Orton and Riddle now, and out they come for the spelling bee. Patrick says the winner of this competition will get to pick the competition for next week. Otis is asked to spell Emmental first and he does, but he actually missed the A in the word. Riddle spells calibration next. Gable gets disillusion wrong after passing on Patrick's pronunciation of the word. Orton tells Gable to take a seat. Orton spells dumbbell correctly next. Orton and Gable have words and Orton threatens to hit him with the RKO. We go to commercial as they prepare for a match. Raw Tag Team Champion Chad Gable vs Randy Orton. Back from the break and Chad Gable locks up with Randy Orton to start as fans chant for Orton. Riddle and Otis look on from ringside. Back and forth to start. Orton mounts some offense but Gable nails 2 arm drags and grounds Orton. Orton gets free and blocks an arm drag, but Gable then blocks the RKO. Gable retreats to the floor and regroups with Otis. Gable returns to the ring and Orton goes to work on his arm. Gable takes Orton down to the mat and sends him retreating to the floor now. Gable taunts Orton from the ring as the referee counts. Orton returns to the ring and Gable beats him into the corner. Orton turns it around and nails uppercuts in the corner. Orton levels Gable with a back elbow, sending him back to the floor for another breather. Orton follows and slams Gable on top of the announce table. Orton rolls Gable back in but has to turn around and knock Otis off the apron. Gable takes advantage and takes Orton down with a chop block. Gable goes to the top for a moonsault, nailing it on Orton for a 2 count. Gable can't believe it as we go back to commercial. Back from the break and Gable is focusing on Orton's knee now. Orton comes out of the clothesline with a big clothesline. Orton mounts some of his signature offense now. Orton with a corner clothesline. Gable counters a move but Orton hits a backbreaker in the middle of the ring. Orton goes for the second rope draping DDT and he nails it. Orton is slow to capitalize as fans try to rally. Orton drops down for the RKO. Riddle runs over to stop Otis from interfering but Otis launches him on the floor. Gable backslides Orton for 2. Orton comes back with a power slam to Gable but Orton can't make the pin to capitalize. Orton backs up and readies for a punt kick but Gable dodges it and applies the ankle lock in the middle of the ring. Riddle grabs his scooter and smacks Otis in the back with it to distract Gable. Orton manages to break out of the ankle lock, then drop Gable with the RKO for the pin to win. Winner, Randy Orton. After the match, Orton and Riddle celebrate as we go to replays. Riddle takes the mic and says next week's challenge will be a trip back to gym class for an old-fashioned scooter race. The announcers promote Bad Bunny's upcoming tour. We get a look back at last week's therapy session with Alexa Bliss. Her journey back to Raw will continue tonight. Back to commercial. Back from the break and Alexa Bliss is with her therapist again. The man says he thinks Bliss is actually making progress. He asks a personal question: when was the first time you ever met Lily? Bliss goes on about how Lily has always been in her life, going back to when she was 6 years old and was bullied on the playground by 2 teenage girls. She was pushed off the monkey bars, hit her head and went unconscious, and when she came to, Lily was there. They started hanging out that day, getting candy and ice cream. Bliss keeps rambling about eating candy with Lily and the segment ends. The announcers show us how Austin Theory defeated Finn Balor last week. We see footage of Theory in the office of WWE Chairman and CEO Vince McMahon earlier today. Vince comments on how Theory is feeling with what's happened as of late. He also commented on Theory's selfies. Theory says it felt pretty good to destroy Balor just like Vince asked. Theory says he's going to win the Royal Rumble and then challenge the champion of his choosing at WrestleMania. Vince says that's amazing. Theory hints at Vince possibly giving him a later number in the Rumble. Vince asks why would Theory think he has any kind of influence over the Rumble entry numbers. Vince says now Theory should be concerned about tonight's opponent, AJ Styles. Theory asks if that's the same AJ that held numerous titles and is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Vince agrees with the future Hall of Fame induction and says that's the AJ. Theory is ready for AJ as he gets up to leave. Vince says Theory forgot his phone. He hands the phone over and says Theory better bring back a very good selfie. Theory heads out. AJ Styles vs Austin Theory. We go back to the ring and out first comes AJ Styles to a pop. Back to commercial. Back from the break and we get another coming soon vignette for Veer Mahan. Styles wraps up his entrance in the ring now as we see how WWE NXT's Grayson Waller attacked AJ during his match with Austin Theory 3 weeks ago. Theory makes his way to the ring now. Theory poses in the corner as AJ looks on. Theory takes a pre-match selfie or two. The bell rings and Theory backs AJ into the corner, but backs off and taunts him. They lock up and AJ takes it to the corner now. Theory backs off and flexes to taunt AJ again. They lock back up and AJ applies a headlock. AJ keeps the headlock applied. They go at it and AJ rolls Theory up for a 2 count. AJ with another pin attempt, and another. AJ rocks Theory with a drop kick to send him to the floor. AJ launches himself over the top rope with a crossbody, taking Theory down on the floor for a pop. AJ brings it back into the ring and works Theory over in the corner. AJ catches a kick but Theory nails a big left hand. Theory ends up suckering AJ into the corner, then sends him face first into the turnbuckles. Theory works AJ over on the mat now, then scoops him for a quick brainbuster for a 2 count with his feet on the ropes. AJ turns it back around in the corner and chops away. AJ kicks Theory and drops a knee into his forehead for a 2 count. AJ with a snap suplex for another 2 count. Theory counters and drops AJ over the top rope. Theory stomps to keep AJ down now. Theory launches AJ's sternum first into the turnbuckles and he hits hard. Theory mounts AJ with hammer fists as the referee backs him away. Theory keeps AJ down with a boot as the referee yells at him. AJ comes right back with a big forearm. Theory counters a suplex and launches AJ to the mat. Theory takes AJ to the top for a superplex. AJ fights back from up high, sending Theory to the mat. Theory then leaps up and nails a drop kick to turn it back around as we go to commercial. Back from the break and they're going at it. Theory with a big backbreaker in the middle of the ring for a 2 count. AJ with big right hands now. Theory connects with a big backdrop for a 2 count. Theory stands tall and talks some trash, taunting AJ. Theory takes AJ down and stomps on him. Theory talks more trash in AJ's face but misses a big elbow drop as AJ moves. AJ fights back and nails the moonsault into an inverted DDT from the corner. AJ with a clothesline. Theory kicks him but AJ keeps fighting and levels him. Styles with a big suplex into a neck breaker, then the sliding forearm but Theory still kicks out at 2. Theory slides off AJ's shoulders and rocks him with elbows, then a belly-to-back suplex for a close 2 count. Theory shows some frustration now. Theory stalls some and AJ hits a jawbreaker. Theory comes back with a big rolling blockbuster from the corner. AJ still kicks out at 2. Theory with strikes and trash talking in the corner. Theory takes AJ to the top for a superplex but AJ slides down and sends him into the turnbuckles. Theory still nails an elbow. They tangle some and AJ hits the Pele kick to drop Theory. Theory blocks the Styles clash but AJ blocks the ATL. AJ goes into the calf crusher but Theory gets the bottom rope to break the hold. Theory blocks a kick and mushes AJ in the face. AJ springboards up for the phenomenal forearm, but Theory pushes the rope and AJ goes down. Theory covers but puts his feet on the ropes and the referee stops him. Theory argues with the referee now. AJ kicks Theory and this time nails the phenomenal forearm for the pin to win. Winner, AJ Styles. After the match, AJ stands tall as the music hits. We go to replays. Theory shows some frustration as he recovers. We see Doudrop and Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch getting ready for an interview. The announcers send us to a trailer for the WWE 2K22 video game. Back from the break, and rapper Logic is thanked for providing Ballin as the Royal Rumble theme song. The announcers hype the Raw Women's title match at the pay-per-view. Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch and Doudrop join us for a split-screen interview. Things get heated and Doudrop suddenly enters the room where Becky is ranting from. A brawl breaks out, but officials quickly separate them. We see what happened between the Street Profits and the Mysterios last week after their 8-man match, with Rey Mysterio dumping the others over the top rope. Sarah Schreiber is backstage with Rey and Dominic Mysterio now. Rey talks about what an honor it is to be a WWE 2K22 cover superstar. Rey says it would make him proud to see his son on the cover one day. Dominic says to achieve that he needs to cement his legacy, and that begins this weekend when he wins the Rumble. Rey and Dominic joke around about eliminating each other. The Street Profits vs. the Mysterios. We go back to the ring and out come the Street Profits, Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins. The red Solo Cups fall as they head to the ring together. Back to commercial. After some technical difficulties, the feed comes back to Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio getting the win. Winners, the Mysterios. After the match, the Mysterios are left standing tall in the ring. Dominic tries to dump his dad over the top rope, but Rey sends his son to the floor. Ford dumps Rey over the top rope, and Dawkins dumps Ford over the top rope. Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode suddenly hit the ring and toss Dawkins out. Ziggler and Roode celebrate now as fans boo them. The Mysterios hit the ring and a brawl breaks out now. The Mysterios and the Profits team up to dump the Dirty Dogs out of the ring. The Mysterios and the Profits stare each other down to end the segment. Seth Rollins is backstage with Kevin Patrick. Back to commercial. We get a SmackDown rebound video looking back at what happened with Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, and the Bloodline last Friday. Seth Rollins is backstage with Kevin Patrick now. Rollins likes his odds for his match against WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns because he's beaten him before and this is one-on-one. Rollins says Reigns knows he his number, and that Rollins is the only one who can put Reigns in his place. Rollins says he will be making one more trip to SmackDown this Friday to deliver his message in person. The announcers go over the Royal Rumble card for Saturday. We go back to the ring for tonight's main event segment as The Miz comes out to host the big birthday celebration for Maryse, who turned 39 this past Friday. There is a table with presents and cake set up in the ring, along with several photos on display. There is also a very large gift box that looks like it might be used to hide a person or two, along with another photo on display, but the photo is covered for now. The Miz is all smiles as he checks everything out and we go back to commercial. Back from the break and announced for tonight's Raw talk is WWE Hall of Famer Shawn Michaels. We go back to the ring and The Miz is surrounded by his birthday decorations and gifts. The announcers hype The Miz and Maryse vs WWE Hall of Famers Edge and Beth Phoenix for the Royal Rumble. Miz welcomes us to Maryse's birthday extravaganza. Tonight we celebrate his wife, Saturday we celebrate the It couple defeating the Grid couple. Miz gives a grand introduction for his wife and out she comes. Maryse heads to the ring and we see how the ring is surrounded by security now. Miz calls for a drum roll and Maryse reveals the first gift, the covered photo. It's a painting of the It couple. Maryse talks about how she's made him feel more special than ever. Miz mentions how he paid top dollar for security to make sure this birthday bash isn't crashed. Miz hands Maryse a smaller gift and it's a purse covered in stones, and it says no limit because there are no limits to their love. Maryse wants the huge gold gift now. Miz says he didn't get her that gift, he thought that was something she got for him. Miz is paranoid now. He calls security to come into the ring and open the gift. There's a brick sitting on a table inside the big gold gift, the same brick Maryse had in her purse when she hit Beth last week. Miz laughs and brags, and shows us a replay of what happened last week. Fans boo. Miz says it's time for everyone to stand up and sing happy birthday, at the top of their lungs. Miz counts down to 3 but has to stop and yell at the crowd to stop booing and participate. He counts again and this time he starts singing along with the music. It's really bad. The music of Edge interrupts and the crowd pops. Edge says this security won't help Miz on Saturday because he has a pissed off Rated R superstar and a pissed off Glamazon, and they're coming to the ring to show why that's bad for Miz and Maryse. They rush the ring and start taking out security guards, tossing them into the ring posts and the steel ring steps. Edge and Beth rush the ring, destroying the birthday items and taking out security guards with slams, spears, and even a 3D. Miz and Maryse seethe and yell from ringside. Edge powerbombs a security guard through the cake on the table. Edge and Beth pose in the ring as Miz and Maryse look on from ringside. Edge and Beth tease an attack as the final Raw before the Royal Rumble goes off the air.